It's used as like what's the cost
I
of a
bring
loaf
home
of
the
bread?
I feed the family
Yeah.
the carbs. Eat my bread, babe. Wake up. You're a wallet, not a husband right now.
Whoa.
So, figure that out.
I just imagined a walking wallet.
On legs.
Boom, boom, boom. Wait, so like pound coins won't come out your butthole?
Sadly not.
Oh.
You'd have to put them in.
So they were nude. You're through to 1-800-DRAMA.
The show where you share your biggest dilemmas.
And we help you navigate them.
I'm Shaaba.
And I'm Jamie.
Come join us as we help people figure out if they are the drama.
Because sometimes you just need an outside perspective.
And we can all expand our own mindsets along the way.
Wait, am I the drama? Red flag, green flag this week, Shaaba.
Hit me.
Pranks.
Pranks. Like pranking people.
Pranking people.
Okay, I'm going to red flag it because I don't want people to prank me. Harmless pranks, I green flag.
Sure.
But when I think pranks, I think to like people being mean on TikTok.
Yes, I read something really interesting recently.
Ooh.
It said pranks are funny if the other person's also laughing, genuinely.
Yes.
But also pranks are intended to confuse, not traumatize. You're meant to cause a little bit of confusion, a tiny little jump scare.
But like, don't be getting people to eat things. Don't be getting people to cry. You've seen the ones where people get like scratch cards and they're like, I'm a millionaire. And they're like, ha, you suck. And it just feels so bad because I'm like, why would you do that?
Certain ones with gifts, I'm like, okay, confusion. But if it's something that's so meaningful to somebody or they've been wanting it for a really long time and you're now pretending they finally got it and they start crying and having all of this emotional stuff.
I like your first point. I think that's really important. It just, as long as somebody else is laughing with you. Yes. But otherwise, no. I red flag the pranks.
I also red flag because there was one recently, I saw it on Rolly's video with him. Shout out to Rolly. A guy dressed up and pretended to be the manager of like Walmart in the States and just went up to a random employee and pretended that she was fired and like made her hand back her vest and everything.
That's just mean.
That's horrible because that's not just confusion, that's causing genuine upset. So overall, I red flag pranks.
Red flag.
Especially ones intended for social media.
Can I also be a total mom about this too?
Oh no.
Sometimes when I look at pranks, I'm like, oh my god, the efforts, the lengths, and the waste.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see things and I'm just like, you are wasting time, you are wasting money, you are wasting like 500 ball pit balls or 6,000 post-it notes for why?
Okay, the one that I don't mind is this guy walks around with a fart machine in his pocket and he'll walk past a group of people and just press the button and like
funny.
move his leg.
That's funny.
Because people giggle and they're like, ew, but someone just farted.
Okay,
that's
gonna
a prank.
Be a next red flag, green flag, fart humour.
Okay.
But for now, let's go fishing
for
drama.
assholes.
Woo! Ooh, drama.
Am I the drama for refusing to buy my wife a dress she can afford?
Ooh.
That's an interesting title.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, that sounds
I'm
weird.
perplexed. I want to know the sitch.
I'm hooked. Give me more.
Shaaba.
My wife and I are in agreement that we need to save up money. Okay, that changes things.
Yes.
Let's read on. She has no savings, whilst I have a few investments that I wish to grow with time. However, we've had a difficult time doing things for the past year now. I am the primary breadwinner in the couple. Where did that phrase come from?
Bread.
What is bread?
I think because like loaves of bread, I don't know exactly.
Signify like food.
I could be talking out of my butt, but yeah, I think it's like bread is like a staple, like bread and milk.
Right.
It's used as like what's the cost
I
of a
bring
loaf
home
of
the
bread?
I feed the family the carbs. Eat my bread.
Well, but don't we also sometimes measure inflation based on the cost of a loaf of bread? Isn't that quite a common thing?
I mean, to be fair, during my student years, I just saw it measured based on the cost of a cup of beer. A cup of beer. A pint
cup of beer.
You can tell I drink,
a
right?
mug of the alcohol?
A mug of the absinthe.
No, I do not drink a mug of absinthe.
What is absinthe?
Very strong alcohol.
I totally drink it. So yeah, I drink alcohol. You can tell, right? Anyway, sorry. Bread. I just got garlic bread on the brain. Stop.
Oh, garlic bread. Crusty loaf.
OP continues. Despite the fact that her allowance from me added to her monthly salary makes it so she has more money for the month than I do. That's a bit odd that you have an allowance.
Yeah. This is your wife, right? Not your child.
Okay, we're done.
Okay.
Not a big deal. I am financially responsible and like to cut pointless expenditures. I also pay the bills and for any dine-outs, gas and maintenance work. She, on the other hand, uses her money solely for her own shopping, which again is fine because I like to cut pointless expenditures. The writing of this is really odd to me. I'm struggling to fully understand, but let's read on.
Okay.
Despite me being responsible with my expenditure, my credit card bills keep going up and I want to nip things in the bud. I have communicated this to her multiple times now. She agrees that we need to save again. I proposed that we should cap our expenditure to X amount of dollars, which she agreed to, on one condition. If there's a budget overrun, we won't call it a complete failure.
Right.
That's fair for things that are needed.
I do know what I'm lost with though, because he's saying I'm responsible with my expenditure, but the credit card bills keep going up. He is the one that is paying for the bills, eating out, gas, maintenance work, everything, but also giving her an allowance. So it sounds like his expenditure is not on him personally, but on them as a couple and their household running.
But she only uses her money for herself.
It keeps overrunning because he's giving money to her on top of her salary.
Wife says, I agree to cap the expenditure on the condition that if there's an overrun, we won't call it a complete failure. But I revise that to if any essential expenditure, like food, groceries, or medicine, push the budget to be overrun, then we won't call it a failure. Begrudgingly, she agreed. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what happens if you, I don't know, the car breaks down and you need to get to work?
Yeah, look, if you're trying to save and you struggle to have money left over at the end of the month after your necessity expenditures, then the best way to save is to not buy things that you don't need for a little bit.
I still think you should have some things, but to budget. That's what it is. It's to just be conscious, to realise where you can cut down, realise where treats can happen, and be open to the ideas of treats not always having to cost money.
Yeah, or cost less money.
Yeah. Fast forward a few months, and she wants an expensive dress that I can barely afford for an upcoming family event. This is less than a month after I told her that I'm having cash flow issues and we need to save up again. I asked her to buy it herself. Do you think Opie's annoyed at the fact that this has been a multiple time thing?
Oh, hold on. Okay.
I asked her to buy it herself, reminding her that I've been paying her even more for her monthly allowance in the past few months compared to the amount that we'd agreed on. Why? I'm so confused at this monthly allowance thing. I also remind her that the reason that I've been doing this is because she asked for it herself to be able to buy this dress. So you give an allowance, and we're confused about that anyway.
Because she has her own salary.
But okay. And then she said, hey, I need money for a dress.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, fine, I'll give you more, despite the fact that you have these budgets and that's not an essential expenditure, whatever. And then after you've given her money for the dress, she's gone, hey, can you buy the dress? Even though you gave her money for the dress. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I tell her this is unfair, and she proceeds to snap back with, you made so many promises you don't keep. I ask her what promises, and she tells me, you know which ones. I ask her to specify, but she's now refusing to talk to me. Am I the drama?
I feel like there's so much going on here.
I feel like we don't have the full story.
Okay, my gut reaction is, what the heck is she playing at? Because she has a job, she then gets an allowance from her husband, which is so bizarre.
That's weird, right?
But her husband then still pays all of the household bills and expenses and their joint dining out and all of this stuff. And all she spends her extra money on is herself. Then she asks for more money to buy something specific whilst they're saving. He does that, but then she turns around and asks for him to pay for it out of his money anyway. Now, multiple things. One, I think for me, just what I've grown up seeing and what we do is like sharing money as a couple.
And also transparency over it. I get that not all couples do that, but like for me, there's a line, because you don't need to tell me when you're spending money. I don't need to tell you when I'm spending money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like we often do. And it's not for permission, but just be like, hey, just letting you know that I really want to buy this new microphone. Is that okay? We ask because we're British and it's courteous, but it's not really a question. Do you know what I mean?
And the only time when we like consult each other is for bigger purchases that are joint.
Yes.
And we have a discussion over it. For individual things, like, I mean, you're much better at saving than me, but I give myself a set amount per month. I always have stuff left over that I put in savings.
That's my point. You can be, sometimes you feel a little bit like you come to me with your tail between your legs. Sometimes like Jamie will receive like a parcel of clothes, because clothes are your weak point.
They are.
And Jamie be like, I maybe ordered a couple of t-shirts and this jumper that I really wanted.
And you just kind of be like,
and I'm like,
fine,
okay.
It's your money.
Yeah, we also talk about things like the environment, of course, you know, in those sorts of things. But yes, it is your money. I'm never going to be like, oh, how dare. But the point is, we talk and it's equal. And we have our equal funds. It is weird to me that
they don't seem to share any money.
Does the bills.
The only way where I'd be on, like, quote unquote, her side in receiving an allowance and spending it in the way she does is if that was an agreement going into the relationship where he put some control over her of what type of job she got or how many hours she could work. And then that goes into a whole new realm, and that's not information we're given.
For example, if there was a child and you were like, okay, fine, somebody needs to stay home and look after baby. So why don't you do it, mama? And therefore, because you are now now not able to work,
I will share
give
some
you
of my money with you. Yeah.
Okay.
But
fair.
like, and I understand that not every single couple will just have a joint bank account that everything goes into.
Yes.
So
I'm not judging if people don't.
in those situations, then that would work. But typically, I think a lot of couples will just have a joint account after a while, especially like having a baby together. But I'm not, again, also not judging if you don't do that.
I just feel like this is on face value. She's using you, babe. Feel like we've got a little bit of a, is it gold digger? Is this is that the phrase?
That's the vibe that's coming across.
She a gold digger? That's not how the song goes.
No, but it's fine. You made it your own. Yeah, no, I'm getting that vibe too.
Yeah, there's no other way that I can see this. And I feel like it's really manipulative to be like, hey, I know we put these caps on, but like, I need a dress. Who needs a dress, number one?
For
especially
a family
if
event.
Well, it could be a wedding.
Oh, fair.
But like, whatever.
But also,
at the same time, like, that's not a necessity. Secondly, give me money, please, for said dress. I have the money. But now buy me said dress. Like, that feels so manipulative.
Yeah.
So I'm badging it. Not the drama. You too?
Yeah. I'm curious about what these promises are, but that's not what this post is about.
Which ones?
I'm always like, we haven't been given the context of that, so I can't take it into consideration with the badge.
Yes,
giving.
And for someone to not speak as well is a sign of really unhealthy communication, which is quite important for
Isn't that quite a toxic relationship trait for people to be like, you've upset me, and it's like, why?
But
Let
I'm
me
not going
work
to
it
tell
out.
you.
Yeah, you have to figure it out. I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
That feels very much this. It's like, pay for my living, buy me this, even though you've given me the money to buy it myself. Oh, I'm not telling you why I'm upset with you.
But now you've punished me, I'm going to punish you with contact and love.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
I mean, that's very deep, but
that's where this could be going.
I see it. Yeah.
I would be very frustrated if I were him. If we can take this on face value, definitely not the drama, and yeah, I would not be happy.
I'm making a couple of assumptions, but not many, and I'm just being very honest. It sounds like you are being used, and I think somebody, through kindness, sometimes kindness can hurt, needs to say, babe, wake up. You're a wallet, not a husband right now.
Whoa.
So, figure that out.
I just imagined a walking wallet.
On legs.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Stilettos.
Very weird.
Should we see what other people have to say?
Yeah.
Not the drama. Your wife feels your marriage has financial agreements in it for you to provide a certain lifestyle for her that she cannot afford on her own. You agreed to give her part of your salary as an allowance for her own purposes while you pay all the essential bills of you both. You have been assuming the burden of taking care of you both. She's taking that as her right. You might need to have a serious discussion about changing that, not telling her that you have a cash flow problem.
That's weird too.
Because he clearly doesn't have a cash flow problem. But she's just taking the money from him.
That is another confusing part for me though, how he's like, my credit card bills are going up when she's not spending your money. But is it that you're just giving her more allowance?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's not your cash flow problem, babe.
Yeah, I mean, it technically is because he's giving it to her and there's not been anything said as to whether it was demanded or gifted. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Because the other way to look at it, if there's something unsaid in that post, is there could be some slight financial control of like, I will pay you an allowance. We don't know the situation of like if he ever retracts that.
I appreciate that insight.
For like quote unquote bad behaviour or pushes it up for quote unquote good behaviour. But we don't know that. So
I hear what you're saying. And I also think that's why, like, just generally, even if there was no like coercive control in that sense, just the dynamic shift in one person giving another person an allowance feels odd to me.
Yeah.
I would never recommend that
it's
to
very
any kind of couple.
Parent-child.
Your marriage, your relationship, even if you're not married, like, couples are not businesses. We don't have like CEOs and CFOs. You're right. Like, if the ship is going down in terms of money, you're still a couple.
Yeah.
Your love is not based on your finances. So it's just a little bit weird, I think, to shift the balance of power in so much of a way that one person does give an allowance. You're right. I think that's why it constantly does make me feel a bit like a parent to a child.
Yeah, because like even if somebody wasn't working and the money they had was their partner's money from their job, I still would feel uncomfortable if that was described as an allowance. That's kind of quite a loaded word in terms of a relationship.
Yeah.
Because why is it that?
I'm trying to think back in our relationship, there have been times where we have had a misbalance in terms of finances. My head goes to when I was working and you were a PhD student, where my money was therefore higher just because I had a consistent salary. What that meant was...
You didn't give me an allowance.
No. We were like, okay, of the money that we're getting in, this is how much bills are, so I'm going to stick in there. This is how much we have for ourselves. And then when we want to, this is how much we're going to put in savings. savings, which
Yeah.
are joint savings. So
Yeah.
I just think it's weird. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I think it's weird to give your partner an allowance.
Bizarre.
Is a bit odd.
Yeah.
Right? You already give her an allowance on top of her salary if they're also earning their own money.
Yeah.
Right? And there is no reason, as we, discuss a potential baby hypothetical, to give somebody an allowance. You already give her an allowance on top of her salary, says one commenter, and you're paying all the bills whilst going in the red. She shouldn't be asking for anything. You need to very seriously take another look at your finances and relationship, because this is concerning. Definitely not the drama.
That one went hard in. You need to take a serious look at your relationship. I would say...
honestly, I would kind of agree. If on face value what is happening is your wife's being super demanding of you for money, and that's not your job in a relationship. We are not piggy banks, we are people.
Oh.
Don't sound so surprised.
Wait, so like pound coins won't come out your butthole?
Sadly not.
Oh.
You'd have to put them in.
Moving on. Oh, everyone sucks here. She's a spoilt brat princess. You're behaving like a doormat and acting surprised. I assume they meant she's walking all over you.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that makes him sucky. I think sometimes when people really love somebody, they don't notice it if it's a gradual increase in negative
especially if it's
behaviour.
a creeping behaviour, right?
It
And
can
it's
be really
something
hard.
that you're not used to, because look, in this cost of living crisis, babe, in this day and age, a lot of people now who haven't experienced money problems beforehand are experiencing them. So if it's not something you've gone through in your relationship, I think that's a bit mean. I do think you're being a bit of a doormat, but I don't think that makes you
Sucky.
drama or sucky. I just think it's something that you need to readdress the boundaries of in your relationship.
Yes.
Best of luck, my love.
Best of luck.
Drama. All right, shall we do another?
Let's go.
Am I the drama for going to a sauna in mixed company?
Oh, what, like going to a sauna where like everybody, regardless of gender, is allowed to go?
So we have a good friend called Callum, and what this makes me think of is maybe the sauna is
Nude.
like the exotic saunas, like the ones in Europe, right? As opposed to the UK where
You get your
go
little
in nude.
tushies out.
Little nudie patootie.
Nudie patooties. To preface, I'm aware that there are cultural differences across the world, but I'm from a European country
Well, there we go.
where the vast majority of saunas are mixed and no clothing allowed.
Would you go to a no clothing
No,
allowed
I was
sauna?
literally about to volunteer the information that I would not attend this. Not just a trans thing, just being nude makes me feel very vulnerable, not free.
See, I love being nude. You know that. I always
You're
talk
a
on about being
nudist,
like a
I'm a never
closet
nude.
nudist. A never nude. Whilst I like being nude, though, the idea of being nude and sweaty in other people's company is, I don't know, I'm open to it.
Okay.
Let me brew. Carry on.
All right. My boyfriend is not originally from here, but he's from a different European country with a pretty similar culture. I guess just not when it comes to saunas.
Oh.
I didn't realise that a culture where like vast majority of saunas are mixed and no clothing. Because in the UK, I've been to saunas in like spas and stuff.
They're all mixed.
They're all mixed, but they're
But
all
you
clothed.
would be arrested if you wouldn't have been
Yeah.
with no clothes. Yes,
Mixed
you
is
have to
very
have
typical
clothes.
though.
Yes.
And like obviously you're in like bathing suits, so
Yeah, but I think what they're saying is perhaps in the boyfriend's culture and what he knows, they're not nuddy.
or mixed.
Maybe
That's
I'm
what-
I was looking
yeah.
at that with a very like British lens.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure.
Okay. Recently, I went to Finland for an academic exchange for 2 weeks. Sounds fun. There's a research group with which our research group cooperates, and I already knew 2 people there personally from conferences.
Wow. Sorry.
This is
so
like, you're
this is
getting nerd
leading,
in
right?
front of like work people? Apart from work, I was of course curious about the Finnish sauna culture. This person sounds really into saunas.
Good for you, babe. Good for you.
Everybody has a hobby. I used to go to saunas from time to time as I used to live near to one, but haven't been in a while and not since I got together with my boyfriend. Okay, so it's
I
like
see
a
where this is
throwback
going.
vibe. I got the opportunity quite soon as there was a sauna at the facility. A colleague told me that we can go after work and a couple of other people joined as well. This was a mixture of both Finnish and foreign people and both women and men. I know that this isn't standard for Finland, but somebody asked if we were all okay going together and nobody objected, so we all went together.
Wait, so what's not the standard in Finland? For it to be Finnish and non-Finnish people?
I think it's
Or
meant to be a
men and
mix of
women?
men and women, but I want to know, are they naked?
Wait, so typically, is it the case that when you go to European saunas where you're in the nudie, it's not mixed?
I don't know.
No, because
But it's not been
OP
said
said
about.
a European
Yeah.
country where the vast majority are mixed and no clothing. Honestly, it would bug me so much if saunas were segregated in that way. Because like it's like when moms go, "Excuse me, darling, no, you're not allowed to have sleepovers with boys," and like your little lesbian mind is like, "Okay, mom." Do you know,
Yeah.
like, it's based on operating on this assumption that if you put a man and a woman together, they will automatically have sex, and there's nothing else to it. And that to me is just so weird. It's such a weird way to think. The idea that if you
Yes.
put 2 women together naked, they wouldn't have sex, or
I
2 men
do-
together naked, they wouldn't have sex.
I don't think it's just that. I think there are definitely some people who feel more comfortable in the presence of people of the same gender, but it's complicated because it's now led to a whole bunch of transphobia and stuff because people make it all about bodies and genitals.
Well,
when,
my point is, if you're that uncomfortable, you're clearly not the kind of person that will be going into a mixed naked sauna.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to see the woods from the trees and the theoreticals from the practical of application.
And the main
just not
point,
gonna go,
this is all a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to go if you're not comfortable.
Right.
Everybody needs to be allowed to live their life. There are certain rules, and that's okay. Everybody's identities need to be accepted and respected. If you don't feel comfortable in that situation, then it is an optional thing to go to or not to go to.
No one is forcing you,
No.
like taking your clothes off and shoving you into a naked mixed sauna.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Shall we carry on reading?
Yeah.
So Opie said, it was fun and we went once more before I left. When I got back, I told this to my boyfriend of 1 year.
So you've been together for a year.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I'd previously mentioned going to a sauna during a phone call, but it wasn't until I started telling him about my trip that he realised that it wasn't gender segregated and that we were all nude there. So they were nude.
Of course they were nude. What are you talking about?
It wasn't said explicitly until that point. He got quite flustered and told me that I should have discussed it with him. He wouldn't have, quote unquote, forbidden me from going there, but he would not be comfortable. He feels like I crossed a boundary and what I did was adjacent to cheating. I'm very confused by this. As I said, this is very normal here and I had no clue it would be strange to him.
What do you think?
What do you think?
Okay, the first thought that I can't get out of my mind is me being naked in front of my colleagues. It's just not something that would ever happen. So I just needed to get that out because it's kind of funny. With that to one side, I think the boyfriend's being a little bit ludicrous. There are two things that we need to untangle here. Number one, he wouldn't forbid, but there's a level of discomfort that he has with partner going. Is that fair? And number two, it being adjacent to cheating. The adjacent to cheating thing is what makes me a little bit like angry and what honestly makes me feel like the badge is just absolutely not the drama OP. Because just because you're going to a sauna with people doesn't mean that you're going to do anything sexual with them. Why does cheating need to be involved?
Yeah, and it almost feels a little bit like ownership over somebody's body to be like, I'm the only one that's allowed to see you naked.
So you're suggesting...
Would he get envious over a gynecology appointment if it was with a doctor who's a man?
That's a really
Would
good
he have
point.
an issue with that? Would he have an issue if it was a non-mixed but nude sauna? And would he have an issue if it was a mixed but non-nude sauna? I kind of want to know a bit more information about what specifically makes him feel like this is comparable in any way to cheating.
Yes, I totally agree. This is not in any way like cheating. I think boyfriend's really out of line for saying that. I will just say though, I wanted to unpack like my discomfort a little bit to what you just said, because when you were like, oh, you can't be uncomfortable if I want to be naked somewhere. For me, I'm just like, but actually I think I would be a little bit if you did that without telling me.
I
not from a sexual point of view.
I didn't say discomfort is not okay. I just said it almost feels a bit like ownership. You know, saying like, I am the one that gets to see you naked.
Yes.
Like, your body is for me.
But
that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yes, no, I hear you. My natural reaction though was to be like, well, of course you, Jamie, are the only person to see me naked, apart from our cats. They don't really count. Do you know what I mean? But that's just because they're there. My point is like, yeah, that made me feel some kind of way. But then you're right, like in a medical setting, of course, I wouldn't expect you to feel any kind of way or feel like cheating. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the extra layer that I was thinking about there was, I think culture has a really big part to play in it. In the UK, if you said to me, I'm going to go to a naked sauna, I feel like that I would maybe warrant a little bit of a discussion. As I said, you do what you want to do, but it would be so outside of our norm. I don't know, maybe I would just tell you. Are we just too codependent?
I think the boyfriend's reaction was a bit extreme and does feel a little possessive-y, and he's like taken it out of context a bit and sexualized it.
Absolutely,
but
with the cheating.
Caveat on that is like, I would have told my partner if I was doing that.
OP did, right? They had a phone call.
No,
But it sounds
I'd
like the
previously
boyfriend just
mentioned
didn't quite understand.
Going to a sauna, yeah, but he probably didn't realise it was
Nude and not gender segregated.
Right. No, hold on. I see where the confusion has come in. I don't think OP explained it super well, or I just didn't read it very well. To preface, OP has said they are from a culture where if you said to somebody, I'm going to a sauna, the natural assumption would be it's
You would
nude,
be somewhere
and
nude
mixed.
and mixed, yeah.
But she's going, oh, my boyfriend, obviously it's not the same for him. Even though he's also from a European country where she assumed it would be the same, she said, I guess just not when it comes to saunas.
Yes.
Because this might be news for her. Her assumption is, hey boyfriend, I'm going to a sauna tomorrow.
Imagine boyfriend is British, and so in
Yeah.
our mind, sauna is like, okay, you're going to the gym,
The spa.
where there is there is a sauna and people are clothed.
Then, do you know, on that basis, if I were the boyfriend here, the conversation I'd have with you is, oh, no, that's fine. I just assumed for me, saunas are mixed, but they're not nude. I didn't realise that was the kind of thing you're into, but sure. And then you would be like, oh, sorry. And I say sauna. It's just so typical where I'm from. If you say sauna, it means nude and mixed.
Yeah, but
so
this
I
would have been
assumed you
post. It
thought
would
the
have
same
already
thing.
happened.
Yes, that
That's
would
my
be the
point.
conversation.
Yes, and I understand boyfriend's level of discomfort to an extent for being like, oh, just because that's not something that I knew happened end. There wouldn't be any fault involved, but I'd just be like, oh, that's so unusual to me. It would make me feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, for example, if we took this away from this context, right? In a lot of Arab countries, it's culturally really common to not wear very tight clothes. Like, the idea of lycra shorts is unheard of in Arab countries. Like, a woman wearing lycra shorts to the gym, right?
Right.
Whereas here, it's so commonplace for people to wear really tight, skin-tight lycra booty shorts to a gym.
Okay.
So if I was just like at the gym, click, and a photo of me, and someone was just like, whoa, like it's normal for me because of my culture, but not for them, I would understand that discomfort. But it doesn't mean that you can tell me what to do or in any way suggest that I'm sexualizing my experience of just letting my body be a body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if he was just a bit uncomfortable and taken aback, but nothing more than that, then I would say like no drama here, because I feel like all this requires is a little chat that's like, when I said sauna, in my head that means nude mixed. I assumed it meant the same for you. I made that assumption, but just to let you know, I felt like I'd informed you of what I was going to do and you were fine with it.
Yeah.
Leave it at that. And then if I were the boyfriend, I'd be like, I see where you're coming from. I get the miscommunication. I am fine with it, but I was a bit taken aback because to me, sauna is clothed.
That's what I'm saying. Taken aback, fine. And that's what I'm equating to discomfort.
Yeah.
But uncomfortable to be like, I'm uncomfortable with you going. You have no right to say that.
Yeah.
And also to sexualize is just weird. You're right. You don't sexualize a gynecology appointment.
Yes.
Or pregnant, like being pregnant and giving birth. Like that is very much not a sexual experience.
I'd say like OP's not the drama. There's a bit of miscommunication going on.
Definitely not
and
the drama.
The boyfriend is the drama, but
Absolutely.
wouldn't have been if it was just a taken aback rather than equating it to cheating.
Okay, now the real question is, would you go to a naked sauna with your colleagues?
No.
Okay.
When I think of colleagues, I think of other creators.
No, I was thinking like our management teams, you know, like the admin side of what we do, because that's what they're talking about,
Definitely not. Other creators, some of them are close friends.
I could totally see you going to a naked sauna as an experience with some of our creator friends.
Yes, me too. But I would definitely go to a 2-person nude sauna with you.
I feel like we digress from the point a lot on this one. The point being, look, if you went to a naked sauna, I'd expect to be told and I'd want all of the tea afterwards, but I wouldn't feel...
Jim has a really great butt. No.
like bubble butt ex-person.
Bubble butt Betty.
But I would never expect you to not go or for you to feel like you'd have to ask me for permission to go.
Yeah.
Or in any way for you to think that I would think it was cheating.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's really weird.
It is weird.
Don't be weird.
See if other people think it's weird.
Don't be weird, boyfriend. Not the drama.
As a Finnish person, no clothes in the sauna is a very common rule. And if everyone was comfortable with the mixed gender group, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't really understand your boyfriend's POV. Would you have been okay with it if you told him beforehand? Which OP did. As far as OP was aware, she told him before she went.
So if we take this away from the context of saunas, right, into other things, if you were like, hey, Jamie, I'm doing there's a word for them, right? Are they like boudoir shoots?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the little soft core, like...
sexy shoots. Yeah.
Yeah, like naked empowerment.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's this really awesome artist, shout out to Sophie T, who's absolutely amazing. Fantastic empowerment pieces. And it's all about like the naked body and diversity in size. And it's beautiful work. And often Sophie will get a bunch of women to go on a stage and shake their beautiful bodies around in lots of colourful paint. If I was to do that, would you feel like you had a right as my partner to be like,
I don't feel like I have a right as your partner to tell you you can or can't do anything. I feel like we are a partner.
But would you feel uncomfortable?
No, I wouldn't. I feel like we're a partnership. You have your body and your levels of comfort with what you do with your body and what you want to do and how you want to express yourself. Because we are monogamous and that is our setup with our relationship, the only time I would be unhappy with what you were doing with your body is if you were cheating on me.
Yeah, pursuing in any way like a romantic or sexual relationship with someone else.
Not doing a nude
totally
sauna or a nude art piece.
If you did a nude
anything.
art piece and you put it online, or you wanted to join Sophie T's gorgeous little like art event, I would expect you to tell me, but just as a matter of courtesy in the same way that I'd expect you to tell me
if I was going to the shops to get milk.
I mean, it's a bit more of a thing, isn't it? It would be like, just so you know, I'm going to be naked in front of other people.
It's kind of like the conversation we had about money. The way we would do it is not like saying, oh, can I buy this? Can I do this event? It's I would like to get this and I would like
just
to do
checking
this.
that you're on board and like,
would you
we can
like
talk
to
through
come?
anything?
Do you want anything?
No, because there's like a level of stigma, isn't there? There is an additional layer of stigma that comes from being naked. That's why I feel like the conversation would happen. But conversation does not mean acquiring approval. That's a big difference to me. I'm glad we sorted that out.
Yeah. Another comment says, from the US, which I will admit has issues with non-sexual nudity, but they're both from Europe. The OP is from a culture that doesn't have the same hang-ups. She was doing what she considered appropriate. The boyfriend is from a different culture that is more sex segregated. He responded from his cultural framework. He also has to understand his girlfriend doesn't share that same framework and he can't hold her to those standards.
Absolutely.
Okay, that went in a better place than I thought it was going to go.
Sure.
I thought they were trying to excuse the boyfriend, but they're
just
trying
saying, hey,
to
you're coming
explain.
from different lenses.
Yeah.
It's okay for there to be misunderstandings, but autonomy still reigns
Communicate,
supreme.
yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with this. I do think that US and the UK have something against nudity. Everything is so sexualized. There's like such a big like frigidity about this kind of thing that Europeans just don't have. They're like, oh, a boob.
Even though UK were on the continent of Europe, culturally, when people say Europeans, I don't think
The UK is not included in
Brits
that
are not
attitude.
quite
No.
the same.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he's British and she's from like, what's it called? Like continental Europe, because we're an island.
There's a word for it, right? Like Anglo something maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know. Angle.
No drama here. Yeah, maybe that's a
Okay.
better badge. No, I still agree.
No,
that
I said
the boyfriend is a drama.
It's the cheating comment that makes it the
for
drama.
sure. But this comment says most Europeans are not so prude and don't see the big issues with nudity. That being said, some are not so open with nudity. You all should have discussed it a bit better. Yeah, a discussion would be a good idea, but a discussion does not mean asking for
They've
consent.
judged like the first half of the
And he was
comment.
still weird afterwards by being like, no, you're cheating. And that to me makes this definitely not the drama, as opposed to no drama here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, drama. All right, my love, shall we do one final one?
You ready?
Yes.
Am I the drama for saying my dad is dead even though he's alive? Oh, depends on the context.
Shall we read on?
Yeah.
My mum got married in her early 20s with a man 10 years older than her. Sorry, my head is still in the last post and I was like, they're naked together. The age gap is fine.
Yeah.
Get my head out the nutty. Okay. My mum got married in her early 20s with a man 10 years older than her. My dad's hardworking and rich. He didn't have looks. And mum thought that he wouldn't be like grandpa because grandpa's really handsome at his young age and cheated on grandma while she was pregnant. Ooh, mess. But it ended tragically like her mum worse.
Sometimes the writing of these is very confusing. I think they're basically saying their grandpa cheated on their grandma, which their mum put down to the fact that the grandpa was attractive. So their mum married unattractive, thinking it wouldn't happen, but actually it has happened, but worse.
Oh my god.
Also, can we just say, like, even the most objectively unattractive person, according to traditional beauty standards, cheat.
Apparently,
like,
all you need to do is be like a cis, white, very rich man. You can also be very, very old. Yeah, attractiveness kind of goes out the window. Let's see. Mum caught dad cheating with tons of women, but still chose to forgive him. It's a really hard position to be in as the child. Well, after that got out, dad went loose. He didn't have to hide anymore. He hooked up with the housekeeper, his sister's friends, mum's friends, grandma's friends. This family needs better friends. Whoever came to our house as a woman, he hooked up with them all.
Okay, I do not at all condone cheating. This guy sounds like he perhaps needed to speak to somebody about it, because to me that sounds like it's going beyond
it's a
even
bit of an obsession, right?
It could be an addiction. Yeah.
But also bad friends, dude. Bad friends. Okay.
Oh yeah.
To the point that mum had to settle all relationships for him. He once offered the neighbour's wife to sleep with him and would pay her some money to buy more food for her son.
Okay.
This definitely sounds like a problem.
Yeah.
Right? It may not be an addiction problem, but like a coercive control problem, like a problem to be like, I expect sex for things. Weird. Okay, let's call her Eve. So Eve took that deal, hid from her family, and slept with my dad 3 times.
Oh.
My dad paid once, so Eve came to our house to confess this to my mum, but mum still paid Eve for the 2 times that she slept
This is so
with my
messy.
dad. This is so messy.
I feel so bad for this kid.
They divorced when I was 2 and he took custody. Mum
What?
had to leave empty-handed and could only visit me once a week. How did that happen?
I don't know. And also, so this all happened before OP was 2, but OP knows it to this detail.
This is messy.
Yeah.
This is probably not stuff that either parent should have really shared.
Or not to this level in detail.
Yeah, it's a lot. Dad took care of me for 3 days and I was in the way of him and his new mistress, so he kicked me back to my mum and paid $2 a week as child support in 2001. So $2 a week is not a lot of money
Even
at
in
all.
2001.
Wow. Mum taught me how to ask my dad for money since I was little, and that got me childhood trauma because after the ringtone it would always be him yelling at me as to why I was so stubborn. I remembered I always cried after I spoke on the phone with him, but eventually he would give us more money as child support. I was growing up without dad as a role model. I wished I had, but I didn't.
Oh.
Okay, can I also say...
I feel like this is written with a lot of emotion.
Yes, and like dad is a hot mess, but also mum's a bit of a hot mess. Not as much as dad, but like the idea that you would force your child to call call to ask for money is not okay. Just put out there.
Taught me how to ask my dad for money.
Yeah, and then knowing that you would always cry after the phone call and that you were upset, doing it once, you know, like mum should be like, no, I will do this.
Parents should take that responsibility on, yeah.
Oof. We kept going like this for years until his current wife, massage staff who worked next to my dad's house, and the reason that mum and dad divorced, drowned herself in gambling. Okay, got him completely broke. They both took off together and loners came banging on the door for months.
Oh my gosh.
Mess. I assumed that he didn't inform me, so maybe I'm not that important to him anyway. We moved on. Years later in 21, he called mum whilst we were driving and I was tearing up because I was glad to hear his voice, and I still remember that day was my birthday. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, he remembered my birthday. I said, hey dad, how are you? Are you good? Where are you now? Dad said, hey, yeah, all good. Ask your mum if she has $100 that I can borrow. I went silent after that. My heart dropped as I kept hearing him say, come on, ask your mum, I need it. He then texted his bank info and sent that to us whilst pushing for the money. I cried and I hung up. My mum did send him the $100 and he didn't call back to say anything about my birthday. So from now on, if anyone asks me about my dad or where he is now, I'd say that my dad's dead a long time ago. That news, however, somehow got to my dad and he's now pissed and annoyed. He called mum saying that she'd failed to raise me and it was her fault. My uncle also doesn't stand with me on this and says no matter what, family is more important. So am I the drama for saying my dad's dead even though he's alive?
No, not the drama. No, because it creates like this kind of gut reaction from me that you shouldn't be saying someone's dead if they're not. I am not for that and I don't condone it.
I mean, to be fair, dad is dead to you.
Yes, dad's dead to you. And also, you don't want to have to explain this stuff.
Yeah.
It's horrible for people to ask about a connection with a family member, particularly a parent, and you not want to have to dredge up even the tiniest amount of detail about the fact that you're estranged or you don't speak to them. I can see why when, you know,
hot mess
of a situation, it's just easier for OP to go, my dad is dead.
I mean, I hear you.
And then mumble to me.
Not the drama. You are not the drama. However, I feel like this is the popcorn situation. I'm like, yes, you're not the drama because I know what you're doing is right, but something isn't sitting right for me to be like, oh, you should be lying about something like this. Because I'm thinking, if you say my dad's dead, right, even though he is alive, you could say, I don't speak about my dad. My dad's dead to me, which is not lying and still doesn't prompt more questions.
I see what you're saying, but it can prompt more questions.
I feel like the way that it could prompt questions is if somebody goes, oh, but why? But then if somebody says, my dad's dead, the questions could be, oh, but how? Prompts the same number of questions, and it's more like the boundaries of not asking questions and not overstepping if you're not willing to share.
I do agree. I find like it's like the popcorn thing. I do agree with you.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But like, I struggle to say that someone who's gone through this much rubbish
That's
with
what I'm
a parent,
not the drama,
is not the drama.
Massive villain in this story is uncle. Excuse me?
Yes.
After all of this being like, family is important, get in the bin.
When you read that, I was like, obviously that created a reaction in me, and I was like, Shaaba's going to hate that. But I think it's an incredibly toxic thing. It's one of the most toxic things within family to be like, family's more important than anything else. Blood is better. Don't turn your back on your family. You've got to support your family no matter what.
And conveniently, in these situations, they're all saying that to support the other person in the family. But the fact that you're family and they should therefore be supporting you has nothing to do with that to them. It's all very one way. Yeah. Very interesting that. Yeah,
it's the whole like the family.
The family is most important when it works in my favour to tell you this. But you know, when you're the little queer weirdo that we don't want to have in, it doesn't matter then that you're family and that you share our blood. No, it's only when we want to utilise you.
I can feel that anger.
This is weird. But my point is like, if we say like, this is fine for you to do, imagine if OP then continued to do that, found a partner and said to partner, yeah, my dad's dead. And then later on, it turns out that they're not. That would cause a trust issue in me to be like, oh, I would like for you to open up and let me know. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's tricky when it's so traumatic. I don't think you're the drama, but I do think that
treading lightly with lies is a good approach, even if the reason for lying is coming from a very valid place. It can often cause more trouble than it's worth.
Yes.
But it's not saying that
even this, like the fact that it's gotten back to dad somehow. Maybe someone tried to pay their respects and now you've burnt a bridge with that person because they're like, oh, a bit weird of you to lie. And then you have to explain all of this anyway, because then you need to justify why you said such a lie in the first place.
But whereas if you just said, where they're coming from.
Dead to me. We don't talk about this. then, you know, no
Cat hiss.
questions will be asked.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
Should we see what other people have to
Let's
say?
see what other people have to say. Not the drama. He abandoned you and your mother made you call for money. It's terrible. Yeah, honestly, OP's just been let down by every parental figure by the sounds of it.
And uncle figure.
Uncle figure.
It's because you said parental. I was like, uncle a little.
I kind of included the uncle in that.
Familial figure.
Generation up figure
Yes.
from family. Family have
figure.
let you down, and I'm sorry, OP.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm laughing, but it's only because this has made me feel really, really bad for you. It's a nervous response. Not the drama. There was a point in time where I told people my dad was dead too. He's dead to me, and I hated questions that I got or statements that I got when I told people why I don't talk to him. It's a real shame, I think, that people feel a need to share.
Probe.
Everyone is entitled to ask a question. If I say I don't speak to X, you are perfectly within your right, whoever you are, shopkeeper, doctor, husband of 30 years, to ask me, well, why? And I am perfectly within my right to be like, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to talk about it. I don't talk about this. That's fine.
Yes.
You know, it frustrates me that people feel a need to divulge things that they're not comfortable sharing. And I guess this is just like a bit of a PSA moment to anybody listening who needs to hear it. Your information is your information to share. You do not need to speak to anyone that you don't want to speak to, and you don't need to tell people anything that you don't feel comfortable telling them about.
Yeah, very true. I'd also say the nugget in me that is supportive of like the saying he's dead is because there's nothing more awkward than if you tell someone that you don't speak to a family member and they automatically label you as a bad person because they're like, oh, why didn't you put more effort in with them then? Because they have that same mindset of like family over everything else. We should always stick with family. And then it's just this kind of vibe off of them that you've done something wrong by not talking to a family member.
I do hear you. It just becomes very difficult then. If for whatever reason that person finds out, they're going to label you a liar and a bad person for lying because they're not going to understand.
Yeah.
So I always think that honesty is the best policy, but honestly, if this is what you feel you need to do, I'm not going to question you. These people have let you down. And at the end of the day, that's my point throughout all of this. We shouldn't get stuck by microscopically looking at twigs instead of the whole forest because you are clearly not the drama or an asshole in any way in this situation. Your dad absolutely is. Your mum kind of is too.
And
your
so
uncle
is your
certainly
uncle.
is. And you don't deserve to be punished in any way.
Yeah,
right?
and essentially what they're doing is picking up a grain of sand to complain about something you've
How
done
dare you.
on the whole beach of crap that they've done to you.
Yeah.
And ignoring all that. So
I'm living for these metaphors today, babe.
yay. Yeah, not the drama.
This was a spicy episode.
This was. We had
Wild.
some chat.
I think maybe we should leave it there for today.
Yes, we should.
Thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode.
And if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, don't forget to give us a rating or like
Super
and
appreciate it. It
subscribe
helps
on
us out
YouTube.
so much.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, and please do hit that little sub button, you know. That really helps too.
If you're on the YouTube.
On the to the tubes. Also,
no.
we didn't go through any peach submissions today, but do know that if you have a drama that you'd like to share with us, for us to also share here or on the 1-800 Drama Pod Insta channel file,
Instagram.
you know what I mean, Instagram, then you can submit your own drama over on our website. All the details are in the description downstairs. Thanks again, be kind,
Much love.
and we'll see you next time with another episode. Bye.
Bye.